And we are live. Coming to you live from the great state of Wisconsin is the Overdue Sports Team. I am your host, Will Massa. To my right, Jake Sawinski. We're kicking off the college football look ahead week 4. I'm not overly excited for this week, to be honest with you. This slate is not good. There's only a handful of games that I even want to watch.
I mean, I'm gonna watch, most of the ones that are on TV, like bare minimums 4 at a time. But yeah, these matchups don't seem terribly compelling. There's a couple of really good ones, like 2 or 3 of the ones we're talking about. I think are going to be really good games, but it's still like those bye games / early conference matchups that aren't very compelling. But it's what it is. The next couple of weeks, it'll definitely improve.
Yeah, definitely. Last week, another winning week for us. We went 6-3 on the plays that we give out on this show every week. 6-3 for plus 2.7 units. I personally went 2-2, so lost on the juice, but basically a break-even weekend for me. How'd you do your personal betting?
9-6 on the week. So anything that was technically week 3, I did not quite beat the market this week. Normally I do, but yeah, I eat a little bit of juice on that late night Wyoming dud that I did. But that was 9-6 plus 2.5 units.
Not too shabby. We are 3 for 3 on the look ahead episodes as far as winning weeks are concerned. We gave out Arizona State minus 1.5. They switched over. Texas State became the favorites right before game time. We gave out Arizona State, hit fairly easily. They kind of looked rough in the first half, but
yeah, they were slow.
They handled business
half,
in the second half.
Yeah, in the second half they looked a lot better. I hit the under too. That was a close one, but we got her double cap. That was cool.
Arizona and K-State, we were split on the show. Jake really liked K-State. I was leaning Arizona.
Easy.
K-State thumped them. Easy one for Jake there. I did not personally bet that game, but that was thumped. Bama and Wisconsin, we both said there was no reason to bet Wisconsin. Jake did bet Wisconsin, but we gave out Alabama on the show.
Yeah, yeah. Don't. That was, well, did Van Dyke end up tearing his ACL?
He got, on the first drive of the game, yeah.
Well, I saw that. I just didn't know if it was like
officially tore his ACL.
I figured it was, but I don't think that would have mattered anyways. But they got pumped. I mean, the way it is.
Yeah. Another dud. Obviously, we gave out Florida. Obviously, a dud in another short.
I didn't do it though.
I didn't either. I showed maturity and did not bet it. Washington State at Washington. I gave out Washington State. They thumped Washington. That one was free. I bet that one personally. West Virginia at Pitt. I believe we mentioned that this line was a little bit gross. I said West Virginia. I bet West Virginia, and man, the way that game ended was disgusting. They probably should have won by 2 scores, and they lost outright. Pitt just continues to find a way to win. Impressive in its own right. I mean, I can't take anything away from Pitt. They've done it 2 weeks in a row on games that they should have lost.
Yeah, I didn't end up doing it, but I would have been wrong again. So I guess it's a unit there. So.
Rounding out Colorado State. The Buffaloes took care of business. It was nice to actually see. I mean, they looked horrible in the first quarter, but they really just handled business against a team that they should have handled business against. As a fan, that was encouraging. This was an easy bet.
Yeah, I bet it too, but I wish I would have hammered it, but I didn't.
Right. That's our recap, though. We did pretty well. Moving to week 4. We're kicking off tonight, so this episode is going to drop right before kickoff. I believe this game is at 7 p.m. our time. Illinois
Central.
At Nebraska. Nebraska is laying 8.5 at the moment. I am personally on the Huskers. I like the Huskers at 8.5. Wish I got it at 7.5 this morning. I'm still going to take it at 8.5. What do you like here?
I'm still a little undecided on what I'm going to do in this game. Nebraska seems to be like the right side to me. Illinois just had a big win. Were they on the road? No, they were in Champaign against Kansas.
Yeah.
A little bit of a slow start for them, but ended up winning pretty convincingly. I just think 9 might be a little too many. I feel like the touchdown would be a fair number here. I'm not sure. I got to think about this one. Nebraska looks a lot better for sure. Like, not even from like just this season, because this season they appeared to be pretty good, but like from last year they look totally different. And it's kind of a question of, are they going to keep building on that momentum, or is Illinois kind of in that frisky spot too? Because I mean, I don't think they were really expected to do much of anything this year. I think the consensus was that they were going to have a bit of a down year, kind of continuing like from last year. But I don't know. This is a tricky number to me. Like, my brain says do Nebraska, but like, just I don't know. It doesn't always seem to shake out like the way it should. So, I I don't know. I maybe just to go against the mold here, I'll say Illinois. Maybe they keep it close, but like Nebraska seems like the right side to me. Just not being gross or looking at splits or anything like that.
Yeah. Pushing to game number 2. This is our first Saturday game for tomorrow. Rutgers at Virginia Tech. This is one I really struggled with, mostly because I don't honestly know a whole lot about either of these teams.
Isn't Rutgers your team? Oh no,
No,
your dad's team.
no. Yeah, my dad went to Rutgers, so a little bit. But honestly, I typically do not bet Rutgers away from home in any sport, basketball, football. It's kind of just a good rule of thumb to follow by, in my opinion. They were pretty solid last year. I don't really know what Virginia Tech has going on. I'm inclined to take the 3.5, just take the points here with Rutgers. I don't know what you have on this one, but that's where I'm leaning. I'm leaning that way.
I'd wait on this one because I think Rutgers might look a little easy, even if like Virginia Tech seems a little public in my opinion, but that's a little bit of steam. Like, if that were to go under 3, I would take Virginia Tech there. But this one's kind of going to be gross. Like, Virginia Tech is not very good, at least in my eyes, they're not. And I haven't really watched them at all. Not really, I couldn't quote that or say that for a fact. But like in my mind, I did feel like they're not very good. It's kind of a wrong team favored kind of deal. And I don't know. I would wait that one out just because, like, from what I see, it opened at like 5.5. It's now a 3.5. So if that comes down anymore, I might be like a Virginia Tech play. But like as it is, I'd probably say Rutgers with the field goal.
Yeah. Game number 3, Arkansas at Auburn. Arkansas line is moving that way. It was 3.5 earlier in the week. It's now down to 2.5. I'm going to go with Arkansas here. They've played the tougher schedule. They took Oklahoma State into overtime at Stillwater. Auburn really hasn't done much of anything. They lost to Cal, who I don't think is particularly good. That's another program that's kind of retooling over these last couple of years. And then they thumped New Mexico last week, but that's a team that's projected 2 wins on the season. So I'm not really putting any stock there. I'm going to take Arkansas on the points. I may personally bet this as well. The line move is making me think that that is also the right side. And I know it's home field in the SEC, but I'm going to go with the Piggies here.
Yeah, like I agree with everything you said, but the only thing that makes me kind of double take at that is like, oh, Auburn lost to Cal. It's like, is that what everyone's going to kind of gravitate towards?
Probably.
Like, then that's kind of why
being
I'm
honest.
like my first impression was like, Auburn might be a good look here, but losing to Cal is tough, and I think they lost to Cal at home.
They did.
Yeah, so I don't know if the home field advantage means much of anything. But I will say that I thought Arkansas was kind of going to be in a stinky kind of year, and that might still be the case, like wins and losses wise. But like you said, they played really good, or played really well in Stillwater. That was a really good game. I bet Arkansas there too. So maybe I go back to them. I'm not really sure, but like first glance, it seemed like an Auburn line to me, just because of like, hey, they lost to Cal, like they're not that good.
Yeah,
The 2.5
definitely.
might
Definitely
be like
looks a little short.
dog.
Yeah,
the public dog might be a thing there, but I'm not sure yet. I haven't dug a ton into these. I looked a few minutes before. So.
Yeah. Game number 4. USC is headed to the Big House to take on the Michigan Wolverines. This line is down to 4.5 in favor of the Trojans. Was at, I believe, as high as 6.5. Now we're looking at 4.5. This was a really tough one for me, man. I mean, I just do not think this is a Michigan year. Obviously, I think Texas is for real, but they really got thumped by Texas. I kind of feel the same way with LSU though. Like that USC win over LSU. Like I don't know how much stock I really put into that. I'm not a huge LSU believer either, but they look a hell of a lot better. To me, USC is like the vibes team of this year. Like I just think they've got something good cooking this year. I don't really know how to explain it other than that. I'm going to go with the Trojans. Yeah. I'm going to go with the Trojans minus 4.5. I know that line is moving towards Michigan. I think it might be a little fake sharp on Michigan. I'm going to go with the Trojans minus 4.5.
It might have moved too much. Like I'm looking at Action Network right now, and it says it opened at USC plus 8.5. I don't think that's true unless that was like a 2 week ago line.
Oh, I mean, maybe preseason. Probably preseason.
Yeah, that's 13 points. I don't know if it was preseason. I'm not sure. They'll have something.
Sometimes they release the bigger games preseason.
Yeah, that is true. But 13 points is a lot. I'm not sure how much stock to put into that one. But this does seem like a Michigan line to me. It's just a matter of like, do I really want to do that? Because like the Texas-Michigan matchup, that was a Michigan line for sure. Like Texas has looked awesome. And look how that turned out. So like I said, to me, it seems like Michigan looks like the right spot here based on where the number's at, even if it was longer or they were longer, right? Like USC looks fantastic. Michigan, not so much. But I don't know. I think that what I just said is going to be what a lot of people are thinking too. Like, oh, they burned me on Texas. Let's just fade them here. So maybe it is a gross Michigan spot. I don't know. But USC does look good. I think it's more than just vibes. I think they're actually good. Like it seems like that coordinator they have has figured out how to play defense, or at least change up the looks they're providing, given they haven't played really much of anybody besides LSU. But the players don't control the schedule. They did what they had to do. I don't know. Yeah. It's a tough one too. But I mean, if I had to choose, probably Michigan.
Yeah, it's definitely a Michigan line. I'll put it that way. And this to me is kind of, I mean, we talked about it last week on the episode. Like this may be the curtain call for Michigan if they drop this one. If you drop these two games early, it's going to be awfully tough for them to find a way into the playoff. But they might.
That's not. Yeah,
they might just end up as like the Florida of the Big Ten. They might just find themselves in these short dog spots at home that always look good and just don't come through. So I think this week to me is going to be like the telling week if they're actually that or if there's something to this.
Yeah. They just need to compete. Like it's not about betting, right? Like if they end up losing by a touchdown, but like it was close the whole way, then I think you could safely say like that's not the case. But that Texas game, it was, a quarter they kind of held on, and the turnovers came and then the defense went away and that one got out of hand. So I mean, and you could also make a case for it's like that was one instance. Texas is really good. You could probably throw that one out the window. But like Michigan hasn't even looked all that convincing in the games they won either. Like they played around with Fresno State. They're not bad, but I think that coach they had's gone, and it's a little bit of a different regime in California there. But that's a game that Michigan should have won pretty handily. Yeah, they just might not be it, Maybe odds makers are a little behind. I'm not really sure, but I think we both agree it appears to be a Michigan line.
Yeah. Our next game on the slate, the Utah Utes are heading to Stillwater to take on the Cowboys. Now, this line opened at Utah minus 2.5, and it's currently Utah +1, so it crossed 0. I've been looking all afternoon, and I can't find anywhere that says that Cam Rising is or isn't playing. Their coach came out earlier in the week, and they said that he is anticipated to be the starting quarterback this week. But with a big line move like that, it makes me think that he's not playing. I have no idea if he is or not. I can't find a report anywhere that says he is, but that line move is a little bit fishy to me. Obviously a top 15 matchup. It's in Stillwater. To me, this is, I mean, I still think it's Utah. As weird as it is, maybe I'll buy the bad news on Rising being out because I would think this line would be longer at home for Oklahoma State if Rising was officially out. I know Ollie Gordon has not been as good as he was last year. He's been rather bottled up over the first couple weeks of the season. I'm going to stick with Utah here until I see some official news. I'm still going to go Utah +1 as of right now. I think that is the play. I was leaning Utah -2.5 anyways because it just, to me, felt like it was a Utah line. And even at +1, I don't know what to make of that crossover, but I'm going to go Utah +1.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember, too, they played practically all of last season without Cam Rising, and they were still pretty good. Not as good as they could have been, but they were still pretty good. Yeah, I pretty much agree with anything you said, except that if he's out, I'm definitely playing him, especially if you don't see that line move a ton. Like, if it stays at 2, 3, definitely. If it jumps out a lot more, it's like, hey, maybe you get a few more points to play with. I don't know. I think that's kind of going to be the conception there, or the consensus there, I should say, is they don't have a chance if he doesn't play, and that's just not true. They definitely do.
Yeah, absolutely. That team is one of the more well-coached teams in the entire country.
Oh, they're top 10. Yeah, he's one of the best coaches around.
Absolutely. Moving over to the Big Ten, Iowa is heading to Minnesota to take on the Golden Gophers, where the Hawkeyes are laying 2.5. Another short line, if you ask me. This one is going to be gross. I mean, this is one where the total is probably going to be in the 30s.
Low 30s, yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably going to hit, and I'm probably going to take the under and try to avoid a side.
Let me see. That game's at 3, or the game's later, right?
6:30 game. I mean, obviously, Iowa should have beat Iowa State, who's currently ranked. They took care of Troy, but gave up a good chunk of points. And then Minnesota really hasn't played anybody. They lost to UNC in that close one early, and they played Rhode Island and Nevada. So I really don't know what either of these teams have so far.
Well, Iowa doesn't have anything.
No, I'm going to take the points with Minnesota at home here, but I have very little conviction in it.
See, that's what I would think too. But then I just remember the game last year where Minnesota should have absolutely lost on that botched step out of bounds call or whatever, the fair catch thing in that game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like kind of a revenge spot if you think about it that way. And I don't know, like, that line's right to me. Like, the total's 35.5.
It's a little higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I did too. So, like, maybe that's a nasty over.
Yeah.
I don't do Iowa over, so I just wouldn't play the under. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I looked at the splits, and it seems like the public's on Iowa to start, but, like, I don't know if that's a good spot to be contrarian because, like I said, that whole angle from last year, and I don't, betting on Iowa is hard.
Yeah, it is. I typically avoid the Big Ten just because most Big Ten conference matchups are gross.
Yeah, but most of the other teams at least have offensive upside. This is some capability. Iowa doesn't. It's like just 45 minutes of field position. And then
that's kind of how Minnesota's played the last couple of years too, though.
Yeah, but then they got the whole Fleckbucks thing, and you know what I'm talking about? No, I think like like some of the coaches, like, okay, good example, Ohio State and the Buckeye leaves on their helmet, like doing stuff or whatever. I think like PJ Fleck said a couple of years ago that like he awards players like Fleckbucks. I don't know, it's just a joke. I don't know. It's like actually
I never heard that one.
No, yeah, it's dumb. But I don't really want to do it again. I bet Minnesota last year. I got incredibly lucky. Maybe it's Iowa's turn to get revenge. Maybe it's not. I don't really know. So
yeah, Agree, though. That was one I struggled with.
I'd probably lean Minnesota, though, because it seems like the public always loses these kind of tight, yucky, gross games like that. And, like, Iowa's not good.
No.
They're good defense, of course, but, like, you just ask them to do so much. It's, like, so hard to play that field position game for, like I said, 45, 50 minutes, and then you get one good drive on offense. Or you get a takeaway and kick a field goal. You get 2 takeaways. You get, maybe 10 points, and that's it. It's 17-14 every game. It's like you can't rely on that every week. And it's amazing that they have for the last how many years. It's actually insane. But I don't know. Like this game, I'll say Minnesota, but
it's a gross one for sure. Rounding out our pick'em slate, the Tennessee Volunteers are headed to Norman, Oklahoma, where they will take on the Sooners. The Vols are laying 7 at Oklahoma. I am going to lay the 7. I am a big believer in Tennessee this year, not so much with Oklahoma. I don't really know what to make of them. Houston played them extremely close at home. They took care of business against Temple and Tulane, and in all fairness, playing devil's advocate, Tennessee hasn't played anybody either. They've played Kent State, and they've played NC State, and they've played Chattanooga. So take it with a grain of salt. I'm going to lay the points here, though. I think this may look a lot like the Texas-Michigan game from a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, that's probably a good comparison, too. But I think Oklahoma could keep it close. I mean, I don't really know. Like you said, neither team's really played much of anybody. Oklahoma's schedule's been a little bit better up to this point. But I think the under is a fantastic play here. More so than a side. Like Tennessee makes sense. I'd probably just go devil's advocate, play Oklahoma, endorse that side of it just because they're at home. But I think that total is a fantastic look. Everyone thinks Tennessee likes to score, and they really don't. Like, it's easy to score against Chattanooga. I could score against Chattanooga. So I like that play. I saw that circling around a couple days ago, but I think that's a good look. Because what do you think of when you think of Oklahoma and Tennessee? Oh, points.
Yeah.
Could be wrong, but like I think that's a pretty good spot to play that there. I mean, didn't Tennessee score like 80 last week or something stupid?
They've hung some big numbers on people this year. I know they hung up 70 on Chattanooga, and they hung up 50 something on NC State. So they've been right around.
NC State's not like a joke program. I think they were ranked to start the season.
Yeah.
If not, they were getting votes. I'm not saying that carries a ton of weight. I'm just saying that they don't suck.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good spot to play an under. Especially in the high 50s, like for those two teams, that looks really easy.
Yeah,
I think that's a really definitely. Good play. That's the one I would endorse more so than the side. But
yeah. Some extra games. 11 a.m. Kansas at West Virginia. This one was just kind of gross. I wanted to call it out. This is one that I don't know what to make of West Virginia anymore. I don't really know what to make of Kansas anymore. They lost to UNLV at home last week. Granted, they're not playing any home games. Yeah, they're not playing any home games this season, so it's kind of a joke for what's going on there. But I think I got to take the Jayhawks plus 1.5. I mean, I have no confidence in West Virginia's ability to close out a game. No. And even with that, the line looks short.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, I think it would be a good time to buy Kansas just because they've been playing really poorly over the last couple of weeks. But it's like West Virginia is so bad. There's always that inkling in the back of my mind. It's like trap. And it's like, I think I might just ignore that inkling this week. I think Kansas gets back on track.
Yeah, agreed. One more I want to bring up. Baylor is headed to Boulder to take on the Buffaloes, where the Buffaloes are laying 1.5 in the prime time spot on Saturday night, 7 p.m. on Fox.
Why? They suck.
I couldn't tell you why this is the primetime game, but it
not
is.
Not even personal. They suck. Like, objectively, they're not a good football team.
This is a disgusting primetime game, and I will be locked into this game. I'm going to take the Buffaloes minus 1.5. Baylor, and I know Cam Rising got hurt in that Utah-Baylor game, but Baylor actually hung around more impressively than I thought they were going to. It seemed like Utah just never put them away. And to be fair, most of it had to do with the offense. Like the offense didn't put Baylor away. The defense was very sound, and it was at Utah, so really tough place to go. But they covered that big line, and Colorado has not looked impressive yet. I think they took some steps in the right direction last week, but they played CSU, who they should have pummeled, and they did. I mean, they took care of business. Good step in the right direction. I don't know that they should be laying points in this game. I'm going to take the Buffs -1.5.
Yeah, fun. I don't want nothing to do with that. Have fun with
that. You got any more games you want to bring up?
No, this slate's kind of gross. You know me,
Yeah.
I'll have 20 plays, but and probably not this week. I did that 2 weeks ago, and it was really fun, but it's a lot easier when like the games are kind of good too. Because then it's
absolutely.
like, well, oh, I lost a unit. At least I enjoyed watching the game. Like when you lose on days like this, it's like, why did I do that? You're not even like, oh, I had fun. You know, because like if it's a good game and your bet doesn't hit, it's like, well, okay.
Yeah,
But when they suck, you're like, I just watched that crap for 2 hours, 3 hours, just watch that happen. Then you're just pissed off. So probably won't be a marathon cheat out of me, but we'll make some plays.
Absolutely. That's our show, folks. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Overdue Sports. Like and subscribe. We're putting these out every single week, sometimes timely, sometimes not, but they're coming out every week. So stay tuned. We've been rolling really well, honestly, through the first couple of weeks. You're going to want to catch on now because if you catch up to us during bowl season, you're going to have a lot of fun. So be sure to tune in early, get your season's worth, and we'll see you next week.